This is about our field reviews being sponsored by the Utah Geological Surveys Mapping Program. Oh, sorry. So our field reviews that are being held, that you saw the announcements in the newsletter for Wednesday and Thursday. Adam will be the primary leader of these trips, and these are just a little bit different than our standard field reviews, which are very informal usually, but because these are in such political hot spots, we're putting a little bit more effort into them. But anyway, the Wednesday trip is nearly full, but there are a few spaces left, and there will be quite a few still available on Thursday, right? So the Salt Lake City North 7.5-minute quadrangle, which includes the airport, the Capitol building, and areas in between, and then Willard on Thursday. Oh, that's true. It's really two quadrangles we're covering, Bailey's Lake and Salt Lake City North. It does. And Adam,
we've invited the committee members, and they're just like some that may come. So we will talk about the geology there. We have a stop that's not too far away from the actual site. So it's pretty interesting geology there. It's really fun. Hopefully it doesn't rain a lot.
Yeah.
Some of the roads will be impassable out by the lake. We'll try it out later today.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. Thank you, Grant. Okay. This time, I really want to thank all of the members of the officer group here. I had a really great year with these folks, and everybody's really pulled their weight, and I've really appreciated all their hard work that they've done. Everybody's really stepped up this year. You know, me coming in as a newbie, not really knowing how things work with this organization, you know, it's really nice to have that support here. So I just want to take a few minutes to just present some rock hammers, some engraved rock hammers to members of the board. Jan Morse, who is our secretary, she's agreed to do a second term, so I just want to thank Jan with an engraved rock hammer. And secondly will be Rebecca Stimson, who's our treasurer, who's also agreed to serve one more year. Thank you to Rebecca. Thank you. Mark Milligan, who is really done a bang-up job with our high-tech AV stuff here and getting all the webcasting sorted out this year. He did all the research on finding the right meeting site to host. So he's really gone above and beyond this year. So thank you to Mark.
Serving again.
And he's not serving again. Okay. I also want to recognize Jason Blake, who's our president-elect. Jason could not be here today. I guess he's been on call at a well site out in Vernal, so he can't make it. But just want to say thank you to Jason. I'll present this to him another time. And then lastly, I have a plaque for Grant Willis. Grant has been an awesome president-elect, and now past president. And this is for his 3-year service term. I really appreciate all Grant's advice this year, and he's had a lot of wonderful ideas and really done a great job. You can tell he wasn't the type of person that was just going to leave the president's office and just be kind of done with it. He really had a lot of input this year, so I just want to say thank you to Grant. Okay, and with that, let's go to the annual treasurer's report. So Rebecca's going to report on our finances this year.
Hopefully I won't put you guys to sleep before your meal comes. Okay, oh, thanks. Okay, so this is an account summary of the last fiscal year for UGA. Runs from October 2014 to September 2015. And some of you guys picked up explanation of our monthly expenditures and our revenue. And this is just what you have in front of you. And I'm going to break or point out a few of the highlights that we've had this year. So this year we've had good amount of revenue in our education and scholarships, and we have spent a good chunk of change, mostly on scholarships for field camps. And then we've also had quite a bit of revenue from our guidebooks and also from general income. And then we've spent a lot of money on field trips. So this is covering, is there a laser? Okay. So this is for 2 years worth of field trips. So we didn't lose that much money on field trips. That's 2 years. And then just 1 year of revenue. And then luncheons, we always spend more than we bring in on luncheons because we feel like it is valuable for people to meet together in our group. Okay, some of the highlights regarding students and scholarships. So we get quite a bit from the golf tournament. From last year, we got over $5,000 in the golf tournament. This year, I think it was $2,000 to $3,000, a little less, but still a good amount. The Rocky Mountain section of AAPG gave us $1,500 for to help subsidize students on the annual field trip. And with that money, we subsidized 4 students, and then UGA subsidized 2 additional students. And then when you guys, yes, so we also get $1,500 from RMS for the guidebook. And then when you guys sign up for your renewal or when you join as a new member for UGA, you have an option to contribute to scholarship. And so that last number, almost $400, is from when people just join UGA or renew. And it's a weird number because PayPal deducts. So someone didn't contribute like 76 cents, FYI. Okay. Some of the outreach and assistance that we've done for students this year include 12 $1,000 field camp scholarships, which I'm pretty sure those students were pretty happy to get that money.
Which is a big jump.
Yeah, big. What was it in years past?
6 or in 3 before that.
Wow, 3 and 6. So definitely helped more students this year, and that's because of you guys. So thank you. Like I said before, 6 students subsidized for the annual field trip. And this year we tried something new. We awarded, we have the option of up to 5 schools to receive $500 to host the UGA lunch and kind of help boost our membership, expose it to students. 2 schools jumped on that. So 2 schools hosted a UGA lunch, and they were each awarded $500. And then $300 went to Matt Offhalter, which this was from the previous year's Teacher of the Year award, and he just cashed in this year. So that's why it shows up on our books this year. Top sources of revenue, the guidebook contributions from last year's guidebook, Geology of Utah's Far South. We also got a lot from the golf tournament. We get a lot from AAPG data pages thanks to Roger. Wherever Roger went. Thanks, Roger. So every quarter we get a nice amount from AAPG data pages. Membership dues bring quite a bit, and then we also got quite a bit from the AAPG meeting share, and the next time Utah has a AAPG meeting, I believe we'll be getting more from that. Okay, top expenditures. Yes. Yeah, Roger.
You have a comparison to the revenue from data pages versus the revenue we get from the DNR bookstore.
Oh, I don't. I do not. I can draw one up for you, but not because everything is recorded in the sheet in front of you, but I don't have it on a nice slide for you. Okay, top expenditures, field trips. Like I said, that was 2 years worth of field trips. Field camp scholarships, and then we spend quite a bit on lunches, and then the UGA sponsored university lunches. So this is a graph of our revenue and expenses. You can see what kind of hits us at each part of the year. At the beginning and end of each fiscal year, that's when we see the field trips kick in, and then we get a check for our golf tournament around December, and then scholarships are around April, and everything else kind of factors in between those times. And our total count right now, we are at $178,389.02, and we have spent, I think, total net almost $3,000 this year. So we brought in $38,000 something, and spent 41 something. And yeah, any questions? Yes, Graham.
If you go back a couple of times, where you have the guidebook, one more slide. No, one more slide. Back there.
Okay.
Guidebook expenses only 708. Where does the
That was
fall in?
factored into the previous's. So that's the hard thing about seeing like October to September. The bulk of the cost was on the previous year's account.
Paid the editor for this year.
Yep. And we haven't yet paid the editor for this year. So it'll be on. Yep.
No.
I don't know how much.
What was the editor? It was more, quite a bit more. $6,000 to $8,000.
$6,000 to $8,000.
For your unit base and the editor's cost. But see, here it says $708. I know that's really misleading.
That's just what shows up.
That's the cost of last year's impression.
Yeah.
You know, because I ended up having to do it twice.
Yeah. So you're right. That is. It doesn't reflect it.
Right.
That's the problem. Like you said, between having passport, whether you do it on a physical year basis or just a 365-day basis.
Right.
Then,
So if you guys are interested in that, I can report back in a few months when that is finalized. I can definitely do that. Any other questions? Okay, turn it back over to April.
Record stores and all of that. You mentioned, and I think he's right, that this financial data should be published in the newsletter. I looked for specifically for publication sales data for years in the 90s, and I found several years when the financial data was not published in any of the newsletters. So let's make sure that we do get that information.
Yeah, I think that's perfectly reasonable.
Yeah, because it's the only source that we have as evidence.
Yeah. It probably would be beneficial to put a couple more charts in there too, just memberships and things like that.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Roger. Okay, and one more item here before lunch, hopefully, gets here. Grant is going to give us the election results, which is what you really are all here for.
Right. Yeah, I know the suspense has been building for 2 months, but anyway, you know, just very briefly, it was kind of, it was a bit disappointing. I got to be honest, you know, to go out there and solicit so hard and really not get that much response. And I did make an awful lot of phone calls and a lot of emails and things like that to go out. And if, you know, what I learned a lot from the experience. And it's, everybody thinks that everybody else is more qualified. I don't think there's a huge number of, well, there are a lot that just don't want to do anything, and we all know that. Everything always gets drawn from a fairly small core. But I think outside of that very small core is kind of a second circle, if you can envision that are people that are kind of on the edge, that would be willing to help out if they felt a little more confident that they could do the job and that it wasn't going to be overwhelming. They weren't going to get left hanging out on the end of a branch to be flapping in the wind because nobody will support them in what they're trying to do, things like that. So I guess my plea is, and encourage all of those who are, you know, been long involved in the UGA to prod their friends and neighbors, say, you know, you really can do this. It's really not that hard. It's really not that time consuming. And maybe we can go a little bit farther outside of the normal circle and get a little more support in our officers. You saw that I put a plea in to try to get people from the outside areas, Vernal and Cedar City. We have a lot of members in those types of areas, Logan, St. George, who really could be active supporting officers. It doesn't have to be the old formula that we've had for so many years. So anyway, those are just a few thoughts on this. We really want to thank those who did step up, and especially for our 3-year term, Bill. You did win. Thank you very Yeah. We really appreciate that. We wish Jason could be here because obviously he takes over now. We want to thank April in a very big way. She's done a great job this year. She really has. And she'll be in for 1 more year, so she'll get her plaque in another year. But anyway, thanks. And thank you, Rebecca and Jan, for stepping up and being willing to do this another year. I think it really is a great idea in those types of positions that do take a little bit of a learning curve to maybe be in it for a year or 2 or more or something. So thank you, both of you. So we'll give you two a hand for. And where's Jim Davis? He's not here. Okay, well, Jim did win as our new program chair, and we appreciate him. It took a little arm twisting, but he did step up, and he'll do a great job. He was a little bit nervous about the audio-visual, and all the technical stuff, actually, but I know that Paul and Mark and everybody will step up and help him out, Marshall, as he needs a little help. So anyway, but those are our officers, and we really appreciate them. And, yeah, see what we can do for next year. Yes.
The Constitution says that we have to have 2 candidates.
Yep.
So how do you feel about amendments to the Constitution or considering
Yeah. I thought an awful lot about that as the results kind of didn't roll in. I think that burden is on the membership to fulfill the obligation of the Constitution. It's not on the election committee. That's membership's responsibility to, if the Constitution says that. There's only so much, and you can't make wine out of water, and yeah, not me. But anyway, I was concerned about that. I was really hoping that people would step up. But man, what more can you do? You make phone calls, you send out emails, you put the notices with stronger and stronger pleas in the newsletter each month. You could see I was almost down on my knees in that last newsletter that I put a plea into, and I don't know what more an election committee can do than what we've done. But I guess I do. I think maybe it ratchets up the pressure on the members just a little bit to maybe step up, but I don't know what to do about that. I do feel bad that we didn't get some competition, have a real election this time. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you can only do so much, and this is a universal thing. We just live in a very busy time, and everybody feels like their time is already split in too many different directions. But hopefully, there's enough out of our 300 roughly members. What is our membership? 320 now. Hopefully, out of the 320, there's a few that really feel like this organization is important and needs to be carried forward. And I think there will be. It was kind of mixed, especially, I spent 98% of my effort on president, trying to get our next candidate, and I made a lot of phone calls, a lot of emails, and we really, appreciate Bill stepping up. I don't know if you recognize how hard I was working, Bill, or you just kind of thought it was your opportunity or your year. Yeah. But anyway, there were people who said, in another year or two, and April's going to get that list. I kept a record. So, yeah. But anyway, if anybody has thoughts, I've told April also I would help her on this next year and see what we can do to maybe get a better election. But if anybody has thoughts, we'd love to hear them. All right. Well, anyway, again, thanks to our new officers. and especially Bill. You know, I hope it's an enjoyable experience. It really is. You know, you do work hard, yeah, but you don't work that hard. You know, it's not going to consume your life for 3 years. And so think about it, all of you. All right.
Okay. Looks like our food's here, so why don't we just socialize and eat, and then we'll get to the rest of the presentation at dessert.
That's a nice rock really good. I wasn't in Utah.
And they would say, oh, okay. Well, then they have the letter, that's why you like to put it on. Have a letter, it's not better. You don't do it. Do the part. But when you don't care about now we part. Well, I call the fire department. What do you know? What you see? The problem is trash truck. Yeah, we don't like to decide the best thing to do is to ride down the street. Their plan is to go down the street. My wife started to do it. So that's my yeah, well, the other thing I've got moving forward is the way the ordinance is 48 hours, same time, drive my car. Yeah. So, and they said you can just be part of it. Always we do park on one side. No, it can't be the same street. Well, yeah, I mean, somehow cameras on there. And we've had the I love living where I go. Great moving around. Yeah, but there's no flowers. And a mini flower. It used to be a big flower come down in our shoes. No, they're not. Yeah, like in Chicago, go down and park on the side of the road, and the ice freezes, the pilot you're ready to your car.
Was this my move around with?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay, everybody, I'm going to start my presentation. So you can either ignore this and pay attention to your cheesecake, or you can try to do both. Anyway, thank you again. Just want to kind of give you a brief update of what we've done this year. Rebecca pretty much summarized a lot of the things that we've done. So I'll just kind of brush through them. Yeah, I think the biggest thing that we've done this year that was really exciting for us was just trying to, start this webcasting with the meetings. And that was just in a response to trying to reach out to the members who were in more rural areas. What are you doing, too? Do you have a question? Yes. It depends on the meeting. I think at the maximum we've had about 15.
No, it's been more than that. The maximum is, I can look it up and tell you if you want to know specifically, but yeah. And that number also included 2 classes.
Oh yeah, so it's a room full of students.
20, but 2 of those were classrooms. So I don't know how many total eyes, but the low would be big.
You had to point that out, didn't you? Huh? Yeah, it is. Mm-hmm.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And we're recording it too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can watch it later. Okay, so that's been, I think it's a good thing. I think it's just one more service that we can provide, just trying to be more technologically inclined. So I think it's been a good thing. The second thing is the announcement for the AAPG annual meeting was given in for Salt Lake City for the 2018 meeting. And we worked with folks from the UGS because everybody, I think once we got the word that the meeting was going to be here, everybody kind of went, oh, what do we do? And we kind of all got together and tried to decide how to plan it and if we could handle it. So Mike, I believe, is going to be the chair, right? Is that, okay, so yeah, we're going to have a big 2018 AAPG meeting here in Salt Lake City. So that's exciting news. And that was good that we were able to pull that off because that does ultimately mean revenue for the UGA.
That's big revenue, isn't it?
Big time revenue, yeah. So more money to go into that account. So the lunch program was something we started up this year where we would basically anybody at any university that was having some kind of symposium or talk or seminar where they'd have a technical speaker come in, we asked if we could sponsor that luncheon, and this way one of the faculty members would talk about UGA and promote us, have applications on hand for any of the students that might want to join, and we would subsidize part of that lunch. So we did get some takers on that. We got Southern Utah University as well as Weber State. So I was very, very grateful to the profs there that were interested in taking part in that because it did really boost our student numbers. I think that was very successful. So I really hope to see that continue. And then, yeah, as Rebecca mentioned, we did our field camp scholarships. We always get a lot of student interest in that. We also get a lot of really nice thank you letters from the students that I think we've published in a few newsletters. So you could just tell how much they appreciate it. They send us a lot of really sincere, nice letters to read. It makes us feel really validated in doing this. And then, of course, the field trip, which we had the 6 students. So we worked with AAPG Rocky Mountain Section. Tom Chidsey really was the one that was instrumental in getting that grant for us. So I sent Tom a thank you letter, and he passed it along to his board members of the AAPG who authorized that money. So that was really nice. So I really feel like that was a very good thing to do. When we have these students on the trips, they really get a lot out of it. I've never heard a student complain about the trips. They just feel like it's such an amazing, life-changing experience. They really pick our brains. They want to know what we do. They want to understand what careers are available. And we have such diverse amount of members who have come from all different fields. So it's just a really good opportunity to have the students talk to you one-on-one while you're sitting in these vans on these long car rides. You can just kind of talk about what you do and be really proud of what you do, because it is exciting to talk about your career. At least I find it exciting. I'm, lucky, one of the lucky people who really love what they do for a living. Okay, launched an earthquake awareness website. This was a grant. I really wanted to give him kudos for this. This was really cool. I think we're still in the beta phase with it, but
the website is there. It's available.
It is available. And I really think this is something that we should really start focusing more on as an organization. When I kind of think about what I'd like to see with the future, and yeah, it's great we mentor all these students and we give out these scholarships, but hazards in Utah is such a big deal, and to communicate these hazards to the public and get the word out, get the information out. As you probably know, Salt Lake City, most of it was built in the late 18, early 1900s. A lot of these buildings are over 150 years old. So we have all this unreinforced masonry, and well, guess what? That's going to be really vulnerable in an earthquake. And I've talked to people I know that live in the avenues, and I just say to them, oh, where do you live? Oh, I live in a brick building. Do you know it's really a seismic hazard? No, I had no idea. And then I scare them, and then they never want to talk to me again. But I see what he means. There's just really a huge gap in information with the public there. And if we can promote this outreach a little bit more and these hazards, I really think that's something that we should be focusing on. I think about what happened up at North Salt Lake with the landslide and the hazards up there with that golf course where we had that slide and the house that went into the street. And what I was reading about that was that the city, North Salt Lake, does require geotech reports anytime they're going to build on a hillside. But the problem is they require them from the developers. So yes, you have to have a geotech report, but I mean, what's wrong with this picture? That's obviously a bias right there, isn't it, to require it from a developer? So why wouldn't they be wanting it from a more unbiased group of people? And that's something that I think we should try to work towards changing, as these policies that some of these municipalities have. I just don't understand things like that. Yeah? So then, so Grant's working on this with other organizations. We've had a few meetings with people, so I think it's a good thing. And then we talked about membership a little while ago. 320 active members right now. I think that's a really good amount of membership. Here's some numbers for the past 5 years. We've really done a great jump this year. I'm really pleased with this. And I think a lot of that is credited to that UGA luncheon where we've got a whole bunch of students that have signed up. So I think that's a very successful program. I'd like to see that keep going up. I wanted to also call attention to some people that we've lost this year. I thought it was pretty important just to talk about some of these great men who've I don't know if they've necessarily served in the UGA, but I'm sure a lot of you know who they are. I've gone on field trips with Bill Dickinson, and he was definitely a larger-than-life character. And I just was really impressed when I read through, his resume and everything he's done. He was out of, I believe, the University of Arizona, if I'm not mistaken. And he was basically instrumental on working on plate tectonic theory, geology of the Colorado Plateau, sedimentology, and just numerous other areas. So just a real loss to our community to lose Bill. And Ten Ardo, he was a local geologist here. He worked for the USGS for the bulk of his career. He worked in the groundwater district. He conducted studies in groundwater, starting in Austin, Texas. And then he basically spent most of his career serving at the UGS groundwater district in Salt Lake. probably responsible for a lot of studies on the Great Salt Lake, from what I've been told. He served as district chief and worked mostly in the Salt Lake Valley. So, and I think it was the 2011. Yeah, I remember that because I went to that presentation. And then I'm sure most of you know, this is only a week, but Don Mabee passed away just recently, and I attended his wake and technical talk. It was really interesting. Genevieve Atwood, who most of you know, she was a former state geologist. This is her spouse. And Don was a geophysicist, and Don made a lot of contributions to the area of geophysics. And the service was really nice because after the reception, we all went into a room in the Sutton building, and we had a layman's talk about geophysics, which was really awesome because a lot of people in that room just, you wouldn't be able to define geophysics. And we really got a good sense of from Don's son, who gave the presentation. So I just wanted to recognize some of those folks.
Could I recognize one more?
Yes.
Bob Pruitt died this year.
Okay.
And Bob Pruitt was an attorney who was very active in natural resources and we fought over a very long period of time. But he was also a degree geologist. And he wrote you could go back and look out in the world, one of the first geology division like journals, a little book that he wrote back in the 50s before he was lost.
Mm-hmm.
Tremendously influential on the oil and gas industry and the mining industry as an attorney who truly understood the science behind
It is nice to have that.
So,
yeah. Thank you. Thank you. And then I just want to kind of highlight our field trip this year. We had a really, really nice trip. The weather was perfect. Mike Vandenberg, Robert Restatar, Doug Sprinkle were all great. Coordination was wonderful. This is a shot of the group just outside of Flaming Gorge. So we got to see the box cut of the mahogany zone of the Green River Formation. You know, most of the trip was focused on the Green River when we weren't in the Uintas. So it was fun to go down and just check this out. You can see all the oil shale rich zones there. Stromatolites, yeah, I included that too. So there was these great outcrops of stromatolites, and that was just really fascinating to see how massive they get. So that was a lot of fun to go check those out. Oh, sorry about that. Okay, Lehi Hintze. So I was on the committee this year to select the award for Lehi Hintze Award, and we've had this award since 2003. We work with the Geological Survey, where a committee's formed to recognize some people who've made outstanding lifetime contributions to Utah geology. And we had 5 applicants this year. It was really, really tough. They were all really, really qualified. I mean that. Everybody had a lot of publications, such great resumes. And here's the winner, Doug Sprinkle. And I tried to get Doug here, but he's in Moab, so I even tried to push to get him to watch, but I don't know if he's busy or not. But we'll let Doug know, and Doug will be next month's speaker talking about his research, presumably work that out. But yeah, so that's our year in review. So thank you very much. Does anybody have any questions? Okay. All right, finish up that cheesecake.
I tried to get Doug to give a talk, or he actually almost volunteered, maybe.
Well, I tried to get him here. I was going to, the guides to sum up the field trip. Oh, here. Oh, I see. Yeah.
No, not yet. So there are going to be
Surprise myself.